And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Great show today. Call with your questions at 888 Car Clinic. On the hotline with us now is James Bell, Director of Corporate Communications for Kia Motors. James, welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house.
Oh, Bobby, it's such a pleasure to be back with you. I'm really happy to be here and hear your voice again. It's fantastic.
And the same goes here. Share with our Car Clinic listeners and viewers a little news about Kia's recent J.D. Power Award for initial quality.
Well, it's pretty darn amazing. I joined Kia on a Monday and about a month ago, and my second day on the job, Kia has given a fantastic award that really makes me glad that I've joined this company. I already knew that Kia was in a real transitional space. Once upon a time, the vehicles were kind of seen as alternatives to a used car. Maybe didn't have a lot of appeal, but the company made a conscious decision about a decade ago. They really started to focus in on reliability and durability. Then shortly after that, they hired over a gentleman by the name of Peter Schreider, who used to do a lot of design work for Audi and other European makers. Because if you're going to make a car, you got to bend the sheet metal, so you might as well bend it nice. And so that impact has started to be seen where the cars have a lot more emotional appeal now. And then, they started to come out with a line of vehicles that had that appeal across the board. You could start to really recognize and sense the Kia when you saw one, and people really aspired for it. A little background on the IQS study for J.D. Power. They've been doing that for 31 years now. And the last 27 years, this initial quality award has been won by luxury brands, and which makes sense. Again, it's talking to people, say, okay, you've had this vehicle for 90 days. Tell us about it. Is it meeting your expectations? Is it easy to use? Has it been reliable? Just all these initial quality type points. So again, for 27 years, that's been a luxury brand all along those time. Now you jump to 2016. Big news is the fact it's not a luxury brand, so that kind of shakes things up. But then you add on top of it that it's Kia. That's the winner of this award in 2016, beating Porsche, Mercedes, Lexus, you name it. So it's a pretty darn good time for me to join this really company that's on the up.
Well, and you can take, for whatever it's worth, you could take credit. You were there 2 days, the second day, so you had a positive influence.
I've tried. Thanks, Bobby. I appreciate that. I've tried, but it's not working out for me.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll just reinforce that as we go along. I understand that Kia has reached some historic new heights after winning this award. Share a little news about that.
Yeah, well, our sales have been incredible as well. In fact, we've just in the last month of June's numbers, had our best June ever. We're on a pace to have the best year ever in Kia's existence here in the U.S. It's just everything is just really starting to rock and roll. And again, I think it comes back to the fact that it's an aspirational business. It's an emotional business. People make car decisions for reasons that aren't always about logic. Aren't always about cost of ownership or rational, logical points. Sometimes it's all about just feeling good in what you're in. And I think, the Kia Soul has really embodied a quirky, unique, yet efficient and smart way to get around town, but do it with a great, scoop of style. So you've got that vehicle doing great. The Sorento as well is just been on fire. That mid-size crossover space has been fantastic for the entire industry. And now Kia's got a fantastic vehicle to compete in that space. It's a really fantastic time, and we're expecting to have a record year for 2016 as well. So obviously it's not just my enthusiasm. There's a lot of happy customers out there as well.
I concur, and I can tell you from a service standpoint, the Kia has come a long way, and there's not a week that goes by that I'm not asked, well, what do you think about a new car? And Kia is always in the hunt for sure, and I've recommended those cars. We're talking with James Bell, Kia's Director of Corporate Communications. James, I do have a couple of more questions, but what's your primary goal, and what will you do on a daily basis with Kia?
Well, I'm going to be managing and running their corporate communications and PR, and media interaction functions. So it's going to be working with a fantastic team that's been here for some time, which also says something good about the company, that people are happy to work there. And so I'm going to be just making sure that the Kia brand is in the mix. It doesn't have to be one car for everybody, but we're making some very efficient, very reliable, and very pretty cars these days. So that's really the trick. And my job is just to make sure that people are aware of that.
Now, you talk about reliability. Kia owners reported, as I understand the study, fewer issues with their vehicles within the first 90 days of ownership than all other car and truck brands in the U.S., which I think is phenomenal. Shed some light on those findings. What specifically does that mean?
You're right. The entire brand came out number one. I think we beat Porsche by 1 point. But you know what? We'll take that point. And Porsche owners are generally seen as being very passionate, very engaged in their vehicles. They buy a Porsche for a reason, and they love to tell people about it.
No doubt.
So the fact that we were able to pass Porsche by a point was great. And then two of the vehicles in particular really contributed strongly to this. One is the Soul, which we already discussed, and the other one is a Sportage. You know, these two vehicles, the Sportage has been in Kia's lineup since it first came to the U.S., and now this is a vehicle that has really captured people's passion in that small crossover space, which, Bobby, as you know, is probably the hottest segment in the car industry right now. So those two vehicles won their classes against some really amazing competition from Honda, Toyota, Nissan, you name it. I mean, the old standard bearers all have taken a little beating at Kia's hands here. And then other vehicles as well. The Forte came in the top three in its segment. The Sorento came in, I think, number two in its segment. So really strong showing across the board, and all that contributed, of course, to a number one brand rating.
Well, that's something for corporate to be proud of, and no doubt for current owners to be proud of. I guess that leads me to one of my final questions. What's next for Kia?
Wow. Well, we've got some interesting things happening, actually. One of the things that I've been privy to now, since being on the job for a little over a month, is looking at some of the future product plans. And we've got a new hybrid electric vehicle and plug-in electric vehicle that's going to be fantastic mileage for people, mileage and utility. You know, that's been kind of the knock on a lot of the fuel-efficient or hybrid-type vehicles in that, they're more slaves to the design to get as aerodynamic and as efficient as possible, which is how it should be.
Sure.
But they're also not always looking so good or not giving so much utility on the inside. So we've got this new crossover-type hybrid electric vehicle coming out called the Nero next year. But the vehicle that I really can't tell you about too much without losing this job, which I'm already enjoying, is a vehicle that we're going to show off in Detroit later this year, which is really going to shake people up. It's going to be one of those moments in the car industry when, you're going to not believe your eyes when you see that the Kia brand is now going to be on a vehicle that you've never seen a Kia play in this segment before.
Well, we'll have to get you back on Bobby Likis Car Clinic when that day comes, the rollout of that vehicle. One final question, where can listeners go for more information about Kia?
Oh, yeah, it's easy. Please just go to kia.com. We've got fantastic links there on the homepage that can take you to all the vehicles we've talked about here today. But the one I like is click into future vehicles and maybe get a sneak peek at some of these ones that I've just been talking about.
That's great. James Bell, Director of Corporate Communications for Kia. James, congratulations on the new position. Always great to have you as my guest in Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Stay well and stay in touch.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to speaking to you again soon, Bobby.